Max, welcome in. Thank you so much for spending time with us as we continue talking with sport leaders across the Canadian sports system. I'd love for you to share a bit of your background, who you are, and what you're up to today.
Thanks for having me, Megan, first off. Yeah, my background, I've been around forever in Canadian sports. I was lucky enough to be in the coaching role, in the high performance director role, and eventually even in the CEO role of Alpine Canada, where I think it spanned over 35 years. Since then, I've been a performance consultant with a program called Pursuit, which I think you know of, is run by Own the Podium and funded by the Canadian Olympic Committee and by the Canadian Para Committee, and Sport Canada and the Canadian Coaching Association. So we're super privileged to be helping our top technical leaders, coaches, to be better in their job. And my specific area is on mentorship. So I run that area of the program, and thrilled to be working with a number of our top coaches in the country. We also have formed a master leader group, which is another few former top performers, I would say, in the sport high performance system. So that's what I do right now, and I'm thrilled to be able to do it.
Yeah, thank you for all of your contribution over the years. Max, I'm excited to have your voice in this conversation because you've held all those hats, you've sat in those chairs. And we're staring at the Paris Games in, months away. And I'm wondering if you can shed light on what sport leaders need to be thinking about from the various perspectives as they're doing final preparation for the games.
Yeah, I think, I think I just looked it up. I think we're 65 days out of the games today. And it's an exciting time to be in this game. I mean, this is the pinnacle of what you do, and why you're doing it is going to the games and performing well. So I think the one thing that I always came to mind when I was going into the games is just the mindset. I think one of the key things you have to have is have a positive, optimistic mindset. Because I think, there's going to be challenges, right? There's going to be challenges, and you have to be solution focused, optimistic. So do not let yourself go down. I think we are exceptionally good at planning to go to the games. And what happens inevitable, and I've gone to many of the games, is things go sideways somewhere. And you have to be ready for that. And I think your mindset is the foundation for it. If your mindset is strong and you're solution focused, you stay optimistic. Because as a leader, you're a reflection, you're a mirror to the athletes, right? They see any uncertain that you show, any dip of attitude that you show potentially reflects in their performance. So I think it's really, really critical to have a good mindset. And the second piece we talk a lot about these days is just your own health. Is we talk a lot about coaches as performers now. While in the old days, when I first started, the coaches and leaders would give everything and show up exhausted at the games for the athletes, right? Nowadays, we turn it around in a lot of our programming with Pursuit is actually saying you have to look after yourself to be able to look after others. So I think we talk a lot about performance planners, the coach, specifically the coach being a performer at the games, and the high performance director as well. So I think that's a second thing you really have to look after as you go into games. Look after your own health, have your performance plan in place, make sure you get enough rest, so you are at peak performance when the games are on.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and Max, what's your guidance from a CEO perspective? What should they be paying attention to, ensuring they're watching out for?
Yeah, in a lot of sports, I can't speak to all of them, but the role of the CEO is definitely a little bit of different perspective. So they're not as laser focused on the games as the technical staff is, but they're looking at the overall health, of the organization as it goes into the next cycle already, right? So I think for them, and also being that sounding board in the back if something goes sideways, there's always some potential of a crisis. I think that's something you have to be ready for to support people. But generally, you also have to plan for success as a CEO, right? So you never know the games either bring you this. You're either going to have tremendous success or no success, but you have to be ready for both. A lot of times, I think we as a CEO, you forget to capitalize on the success and have a plan for that in place. So the bigger perspective, I always call it, we have that in our programming is indigenous people talk about the bear perspective being right over it. I think the coach and high performance director are more on the bear perspective. The CEO is more on the eagle perspective, up on the tree, kind of looking at everything and looking a little more long term. But I think, again, all those pieces have to be in place. And the key for all of them is to stay calm and, calm and just be their support wherever needed.
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you articulating, the work that's gone into planning to get here, the final few days, to stay focused on your mindset, to stay focused on being well, making sure that coaches and high performance directors aren't forgetting their own sense of wellness so that they can perform as their athletes, get on this world stage. And then CEOs, I love that, the eagle view of being able to have a broader picture. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I remember going into the 2010 games as the high performance director, and at times, you feel the pressure. You're going, oh my God, like, we're the first sport up and we're supposed to win this gold medal. And the pressure can really, like, you can just go, oh my God, like we gotta deliver it. And I always fell back to this saying of pressure is a privilege that Billie Jean King says, right? Because you said we work so hard, we are actually having an opportunity to perform, right? Which is already amazing. So you have to learn kind of to take the pressure off. As coaches are really good in doing that with their athletes, taking the pressure off. But I think also the leaders have to have that same mindset of, how do I take the pressure off myself so I provide the leadership that is optimal for performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your practice is showing, Max. Yeah, well done. Okay, if we change tacks, change directions at the games, after the games, what should those same folks be thinking about? Whether they've won, lost, success, highs, lows, what's important for them to be thinking about coming out of the games?
Yeah, I think, again, like I think beforehand, you want to have a good plan. But one things that we drill home a lot with our leaders is make sure you're looking after yourself. Make sure you have a plan to reflect after each day. Maybe have a little personal time in the morning where you can get your energy going, because a lot of times it's a 2-week stretch where you're just getting depleted of energy and not getting much. So manage that part. But a reflection at the end of the day, making notes of all the little things, and nothing to do with, whether performance was good or not. It's more like, how did we show up? How did I react? How did the support staff was affected? I think the reflection at the end of the day is really important, because you're in an emotional state and you might forget stuff that happened, right? So I think doing a daily journal, I encourage people to write, like, even just take 5-10 minutes in the evening and just reflect on the day, because that material will be very, very helpful later on when you then go in the more an official debrief. And I think so the quality of the debrief is really, really important.
And Max, have you seen debriefing take place during the games? What's your point of view over that?
Yeah, I think informally, I think the staff, certainly the staff every night has, their unique way of sitting down at the end of the day and kind of rehashing the day.
Yep.
But in general, the concept of excellence, of planning, execution, debrief, I think we've recognized the importance of debrief, but I think there's room for us to get better at it. And I think that starts with the individual at the games themselves, but also, having these notes then when we get together in maybe in a more formal way, and then have a really good debrief session. I think we know that, and I think everybody is there, if they're honest, can say there is still room for improvements for us. I think we're excellent as a country in planning. I think we're really good at execution. I think the debrief area is newer, and I think it's really the area where we can make some steps forward. And I think we're trying to get that into the people that we work with, to do their part to contribute to that quality debrief.
Yeah, nice. I'm going to play back what you said in terms of plan, execute, debrief. We've been excellent at planning, we're excellent at execution, and we're leaning into learning how to be excellent at debriefing. Max, what would that CEO be needing to think about in terms of being able to help that organization, help their organization improve their debriefing skills post games? You know, back to your eagle analogy, right? They're watching, they're not in it as much. What do they need to be thinking about now to set their organization up to help improve the debriefing capability after?
Yeah, I think they also like it has to be part of the process, right? So I think it's starting a process that everybody understands, right? So you lay out the timelines really good. Here is that debrief. What's the objective of that debrief? I think you just have to lay that out and to do a really sometimes the emotional there's value in the emotional debrief right after, right? But there's the time has to go by to take off the emotion and be more objective. So I think laying a good foundation is something important, and keep it. Like with anything in excellence, is just we keep going through these sequences, and as we go through, we learn, and then we get better. And it's the same principle of mastery. So I think for the CEO, it's just making sure that these processes are in place, they're properly timed, and the right people are in it. And as we always talk about, a safe environment, right? I mean, it's how you conduct the debrief. As the CEO, you don't come in and just say, this is how I saw it. So I mean, it's how you execute the debrief is really important too. So I think all that being said, I think if you do this right, and we do this right as a sports system, we're going to be better in the next plan, and we're going to just get better and better and better.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. I think about that as the heart of a performance and learning culture, in terms of how do you have, reflection practices like you talked about at the individual level, being able to aggregate that and, get to your own sense of what am I learning and what does that mean for the next time? And then, that eagle view of ensuring that all of that starts to come to the surface such that you can reflect for the next quad, for the next two quads, and what does it mean to your programming?
Yeah.
So yeah, lovely. Okay, Max, we've been asking folks to answer the question, a future focused sport leader is ...
To quote my team leader in Pursuit, Laura Watson, I'd say people focused. And here's why I think it's important. I think the days of showing your power as a leader and telling people, demanding things are over. I think we're in an era where you have to learn how to influence. You have the skills to influence people and bring them on board. I think you need to be, that's a different skill set, but you need to be very, very well set in that you have to build connections with people. You have to build trust. I think these are all specific skill sets that are needed in the future. So that's why I say people first. And my ideal, I might be a little biased here, but I like a caring, nourishing leader with high standards. That combination is for me the ideal future leader, where people feel that this person's there for them to help them on their journey, and at the same time holds them accountable and not takes the standards down, keeps standards up. I think that is winning well if you can do that. If you can, and even for the people that have their dreams to win Olympic gold medals and not winning them, because only very few do, but you help them become a better person. And I think better people, better performance. That's our motto. So if we help people get better, we've achieved a lot of our objectives as a system.
Yeah, well done. The beauty of sport as a nation builder.
Yeah.
Okay, Max, thank you. Thanks for taking your time, and thanks for sharing all your expertise with us today.
You're very welcome.
Okay, good luck to all those going to the games, hey?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Take care.